Hello, welcome. It's Francis here. Thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I bid thee welcome. There is a subscribe button below if you would like to help support this channel by subscribing. Also a bell to be notified as to when I upload more content. I'm coming to you from Ghana country, and as such, I acknowledge the Ghana people of the Adelaide Plains as being the traditional custodians of the land upon which I reside. So we have had I was going to say winter solstice, but it just depends on where you are in the world. Where I am, it's definitely the winter solstice. It's very cold at the moment. And this video, I wanted to sort of focus on the upcoming new moon, which will be an astrological sign of Cancer at 4 degrees 7 minutes or 8 minutes. It'll be taking place on Wednesday, the 25th of June, and here in Adelaide, South Australia, it will be at 8:01 p.m. But a lot of the planetary alignments I've sort of talked about, or the major ones I've sort of talked about in the solstice video, so I'm not going to repeat myself here. And this whole video itself is taken on a little bit of a different feel, and it could be what's happening in the world out there. But we'll just see. So as I said, it is a new moon. So when we have a new moon, this is when the sun and the moon are conjunct all together in the sky. And both are in the early degrees of Cancer. And both these luminaries are actually conjunct with Jupiter. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion, and it is around about 3 degrees, I think 33 minutes of Cancer, expanding all the sort of new energy, which could explain why this video is going to take on a little bit of a different slant. I have mentioned in other new moon videos that the sun is our identity, what we're aspiring towards, what we want to become. The moon is what feels like home, the heart where we belong. So if you have your birth chart, your natal chart, look to see what house 4 degrees 8 minutes of Cancer falls into, because this will reflect the area in your life where you may want to plant a new seed. If you are into manifesting, bring into new intentions, this is the area in your life where maybe you should be focusing on. Okay, why don't we look at Cancer itself, because I think this is really shaping this video, what I wanted to talk about today. Cancer is about the home, and it's about caring for others. It is very nurturing. It's compassionate. It's a maternal sign. It's interesting because the moon often is perceived, especially in Western astrology, as female, and this is the sign which the moon rules. So the moon is in its home sign. It's also connected in, or it has a very sort of feminine energy, and I think it's because of the sort of watery aspect that sort of flows through it as well. And if we're just sort of like looking at Cancer in that light there, it's about the home, it's about nurturing. In light of what's happening externally in our world at the moment, it could very well be bringing up feelings of vulnerability. And again, don't forget, we've got Jupiter emphasizing expanding things. So feelings of vulnerability, especially if we are estranged from our family. And I'm not necessarily talking about just biological family. It could be people who we consider to be family. It could also be communities. It could also be cultural grounds, other loved ones. It could be that we're not feeling safe, we're not feeling secure, because Cancer is all about this need to feel safe and secure, especially at home. As such, there could be an intense degree of feelings of community, this need for community, this need for nationalism, this need for coming together, of being part of something, global family. And as I said, the sensation could be expanded upon due to Jupiter being there. It could also be a sign of relief, of a pause, because when you think about it, we're in June, halfway through the year, there has been, especially from an astrological point of view, huge waves of energy and coming through, hitting us more so in the last month or so. It's been very intense. And for those of us who are more sensitive to this energy, these are all been emotionally charged energies as well. It can also be very draining, especially when we look at the world that we're living in at the moment and how we're going about things as a collective, especially with all that. I'm thinking about my wording, the collective wounds of cultures and societies being played out on the world stage, how our media is being driven more about clickbaits and sensationalism, tends to be very one-sided. It tends to also be very questionable, not putting any sort of shame on news agents themselves, but we're in this age of AI. We don't know what is truth, what is not truth. And sometimes our media has been, I wouldn't say intentionally letting us down when it comes to fact finding, but they haven't delved deep enough to ascertain whether something is fact or not. They've just been on the click, but it's the instantaneous, because everything is a 24-hour news station these days. So to keep the ratings, to keep everybody engaged, they're just, I wouldn't say spamming, maybe it is spam, but regurgitating out the news without doing the deeper research to ascertain whether this news is fact or not. So we've got all of these layers of energies piling on us at the moment. So it's really giving, I suppose this new moon's giving us perfect opportunity to just pause, to come back to center, to focus on our own energy and how we're wanting to move our own energy in this world that seems to be very heated, very chaotic. What is the state of the pond in which our energy is going to transform? How is our energy going to ripple out? Are we adding to things? Are we in complete denial? So when it comes back to this new moon in Cancer, which is all about community, it's about our community spaces. And these can be very inward foking, because they may or may not necessarily be represented by the sort of attention grabbing, chest beating, glitzy headlines that are being forced upon us. And which too, with almost readily accepting, oh, this is the way the world is. It's like we've surrendered all responsibility to accept this. But Cancer is reminding us of our humanness. Cancer is about allowing ourselves to accept support when we need it, and also to offer support to others when they need it. Maybe if it's a new moon, if you're wanting to start a project, start something that is probably more focused about improving our own domestic lives, or even a longer term venture that is more on the home front. And that could be community, not just our own individual homes. But Cancer does have this really big sort of sensation, this feeling, this energy about coming home. What does that mean to us? coming back to our own inner self, our own experience. And a couple of words that are often bandied about these days, our own authenticity and also our own sovereignty. Quite interesting to think about it. The astrological symbol of Cancer is the crab. And as I said, the planetary ruler is the moon, and the moon is connected with tides. So we do have this sort of watery feeling, the sort of cyclic nature of the moon's sort of relationship with the ebbing and flowing tides of our world. And as I said, Cancer is connected with home, it's connected with the mother, it's also connected with the unconscious, as well as almost the sort of the psychic rebirth that happens as everything is one big cycle. And allowing us that space needed for us to sort of tap into this unconscious self that maybe we have been disconnected from because we've been too focused on the external world. This is Cancer coming back home. So the energy is rather inward facing. Yeah, inner. I'm just getting an image of like a tortoise, sort of like coming back and hiding into its shell, or a snail coming into its shell and wanting to poke its head out every now and then to have a look around. And it's like, no, I'm going back inside. But it's sort of important not to totally disconnect ourselves to what's happening out there. But we need to sort of focus a little bit more on our own inner self as opposed to the outer self, even our own inner being, our own inner essence. Because when we are home, when we've sort of taken off all the masks and all the costumes of our external world, who are we? Just who are we when we're not playing on the stage of life? And when we're in our own home, how comfortable are we? Yeah. How comfortable are you with that person? That truer sense of self. When we turn off our phones, move away from social media and all that pretend, who are we really? And it sort of opens up these deeper questions as to whether we are able to embrace the power of emotional feeling. We do tend to live in a society that if our emotions peak too much or plummet too much, we are medicated. And that could be good and well for some people, but not for everyone. It's also stems into a world that's trying to disassociate ourselves from our feelings. And this is what is the essence really of our own humanity. Even though I think just recently there's something about people trying to, or are inventing robots to feel. I really don't know how I personally feel about that, because it's our ability to feel that makes us human. Truly human. Something to think about. Also, something to think about at this new moon is whether we can embrace the power of allowing the unconscious elements of our own being to rise up. And when they rise up, are we able to connect with them? And then even use them as a portal through which we can step in order to manifest our creative visioning, because major planets or planetary alignments, as I said, I have talked about this in the other video, which I will link below, because I don't know how to link up there. We have the Sun, the Moon, and Jupiter all in the early stages of Cancer. Cancer is a cardinal sign. It's one of the instigators. So it's initiating energy. We've also got Saturn and Neptune in 1 or 2 degrees of Aries. initiating sign, cardinal sign, of that energy coming in. We've also got Pluto doing a little bit of a dance between Aquarius and Capricorn. And I think at the moment it's in Capricorn, and Capricorn is also a cardinal sign. So we have these powerful initiating energies starting something new. And then we've got this new moon in Cancer telling us to come home. And it's quite interesting because this is the first new moon that we've had in 12 years where Jupiter will be in Cancer. And as such, Jupiter is expanding the sensation of our inner internal home. Maybe we are feeling this feeling of disconnect from it due to our focus being so external in the last 5-10 years. It's only really been recent that our focus has been more online. And it's getting more and more. But it's interesting that Jupiter, the great benefic, expanding everything that it touches, is also here, this new moon. That's asking us to sort of turn our gaze inward. So there's this potential for this expansion of this inner focus. So something to just quietly think about. And before I go, I just want to mention, so we're still in June. In July, my next offering through the College of Psychic Studies will be taking place on the 13th of July. It will be entitled Strengthening Intuitive Gifts, and we'll be sort of focusing on recognizing and sort of trusting our own ability. So it's got this sort of coming home sense as well. Coming back to the body, listening to our own selves and strengthening that own inner knowing, especially in a world which is filled with so many distractions and also comparisons that we have. That every one of us is different, our energies are different. And this upcoming course that I have through the College of Psychic Studies, it's going to be more on sort of more of a personal exploration, tap into our deeper wisdom that we all each have. And we're actually sort of starting with this new moon in Cancer when we're coming back to home. So what is home to you? So a little bit different than my other recordings on the moons. You put some thoughts below. Where does this sort of sense of self, how comfortable are you when you come home? What does home mean to you? Blessing.